with a screen is a strategy. Of course, it should be one of the strategy. Limiting screen time should be one of the strategy, but it should be based on a fundamental acknowledgement that you're taking up with the screen not to punish the child. You're taking up the screen to rewire the brain. That perspective change has to happen. Otherwise, your relationship with your kids will start getting spoiled, and it has already started getting spoiled. I know so many parents whose only point of contention with their kids is the screen, right? So we do not want to spoil our relationship with the child. So this small little perspective change will help save that, right? All right. So now let's come to finding the anecdote. If the brain can be addicted to something, there are always anecdotes. The brain can be rewired back also. Even if the addiction, even for cocaine or some really hard substance abuse, the de-addiction is always possible. But the de-addiction is, again, even in any rehab center. And please acknowledge the fact also that the screen is as bad an addiction as hard substance abuse. It's as bad as an addiction as drugs. It is that bad. It is a matter of concern. So steps have to be taken towards it. But with this perspective change, that you have to rewire the brain. You do not have to punish the child or feel guilty about yourself. Okay. All right. So let's find our job is to find the antidote. The antidote to this addiction. And Totto has got some nice, interesting ideas coming up, which will have a very systematic, scientific, step-by-step approach of finding these antidotes. But for today, let me give you, let's start with an activity for the parents, and I'll give you an activity for the kids, which you can start off right away, and you can see the effects of how your brain can be rewired instantly with just few activities. And these activities, of course, tailor-made for your for the brain and how the brain responds. So these activities actually help you talk to your child's brain directly in the language the brain understands, and then it's easier to get them off the addiction. Okay, so one thing which I want to give you today is try this out today. These are called compliance techniques. So many of us have tried so many things about the screen, but the child does not comply, or it's difficult to make the child to understand those techniques or to say yes to you that, okay, let's try this. So there's a very beautiful compliance technique in brain psychology, in psychology that we are taught. It's called FITD and DITF. FITD is foot in the door. Foot in the door is a very simple way of getting someone to agree to you. Foot in the door means when someone is trying to shut the door, you put a foot in it so that the door doesn't close. So it means that you give a small demand and then you start slowly increasing your level of demand. Okay, for example, suppose you are at the bus stop and someone says, some stranger comes up and says that I don't have money for the bus. Can you give me 5 rupees? How many of you will give it? Okay, let me give them 5 rupees. How many of you will give 5 rupees? If some stranger comes and asks you that, please, I need 5 rupees just for boarding the bus. I forgot my purse or something. We'll give it, right? So many of you will say, okay, 5 rupees we'll give. Then suppose after 10 minutes, that same person comes and says, oh, after reaching home, I need to take a rickshaw to my house. So can you give me 10 rupees more for that rickshaw also, so that I reach my house at least? How many of you will give? We'll say, okay, fine. Okay. Some will say, okay, 10 rupees, fine. All right. Okay. Then when someone keeps going on increasing, someone says, oh, when I reach home, then I don't have groceries. Can you give me 5,000 bucks for buying my monthly groceries? Then you will not give. Right? So when you can start with a smaller demand instead of asking a big demand. If someone would have come and told you, I need 20 rupees to reach home because I need to take the bus, then I need to take the rickshaw and I want to reach my home, you might not do it. But if someone breaks it into smaller demands, okay, first 5 rupees, okay, then next 10 rupees more, till it doesn't reach unreasonable limits, you might give more than you would have actually given if the person would have asked that entire amount in one go. So this is actually a very important compliance technique you can use to limit your child's screen time, when they're watching the screen. And suppose you want, like Teresa said, she gives 20 minutes. So if you want to limit to 20, you want your child to comply to that, you have to start training the child. The best way to start training the child for 20 minutes is to put an alarm in whatever gadget they're watching. If they're watching your phone, if they're watching the iPad or any tablet, put an alarm, because then you are not the evil one who's telling them to give up the screen. It is an alarm. And the brain gets used to sound signals very easily. So when the alarm will ring, slowly and slowly, the brain will get conditioned that alarm equal to stopping the screen. Might not happen day one, might not happen day two, but will happen if you be consistent for 7 to 10 days. Okay, so that's one of the easiest thing to do. But another way, the compliance technique that I'm talking to you, and try it out today, that when it is about 20 minutes, when it is about, if it's 20 minutes and when the time is 10 minutes, half time, at half time you start bargaining. You start giving these demands that okay, you can watch the screen only for this much time, only 1 minute more. Then the child says, no, not 1 minute, 2 minutes. You're like, no, only, okay, only 3 minutes more. The child says, no, 5 minutes. So you can bargain. So if the amount is 20 minutes, which is supposed to be given to the child, at 10 minutes, you can start using small requests to help the child comply to that 20-minute rule. So at 10 minutes, you keep telling the child, okay, it's time is up. Then the child is, no, let me watch a little more. And you're like, no, you can't watch. Okay, you can watch only for, say, 5 minutes more. Even then it'll be 15, it'll be within your limited time. But the child will say, okay, not 5, okay, 6 minutes, okay, 7 minutes. So you can start bargaining that time to train the brain that this is the amount of time that is actually I'm allowed to watch. And it works like wonders. You can try it today. And why does it work like wonders? Because at 10 minutes, when you told the child that watch only 5 minutes more, and the child bargained their way and said, oh, and you settled at, say, 8 minutes. The actual time is 18 minutes that you allow them to watch, but this bargaining that you did, and you let the child win. And the 8 minutes suggestion came from the child and not from you. That is why this compliance technique works so well, because the suggestion comes from the child, and the feeling of getting their way, of getting a win, comes from the child. But yes, as a parent, we all trick our kids at some point or other. So you know that you actually got them to get off the screen according to your time limit. But that feeling of having a win, the feeling of suggesting something which was agreed upon by the parent, that is very important for a developing brain. Remember, your child's brain is developing. Your child's brain is still understanding the way the world works. So in that, when the child gets an ego boost, it is very, in fact, small little wins are very important for kids to have a high self-esteem. So try this as a small technique today to get your child to stop the screen on their own, and also to get a feeling that, look, something I suggested was accepted by my parents. So that's a huge thing for the child's developing brain. Allow your child to have little wins, even if it is screen time. The relationship gets so sour at times that the kids start feeling parents are their enemies. Of course, we're taking something they love so dearly, so that feeling is very natural. So if that feeling happens, then no matter what you try, no matter what logic you give them, it will not work. So especially if you have younger kids, it's very important to stop your relationship from getting sour, right? Because then it's going, screen time is just one of the problems. There's going to be so many battles between that you might not agree upon. So screen time, one of the side effects is also that we have to save our relationships with the child. Plus, we know that it's bad for them, so we have to not let them get into it. So it's a tricky business, but it's something, if you understand brain techniques, it's something which becomes very simple, and it does not affect your relationship with your child. So try, okay, someone is telling the child, yeah, so of course, this small things which I told you, that works with the younger kids. If you have kids under the age of 5 or 6, where they are not very, sure of time, of course, this compliance technique works there. With older kids, you can where they know that the time is 20 minutes. Like I told you, an alarm system works very well. And even there, after 20 minutes also, some kids do not turn off the screen time. So for older kids who know it's 20 minutes, this compliance technique will work very well even after 20 minutes when they do not want to take off the screen. At that point, this bargaining of this door in the foot foot in the door technique works very well for older kids, because taking the screen even after the stipulated time, there is no kid in the world who you say 20 minutes and be like, okay, thank you, 20 minutes. You have to train them to agree to that. So for older kids, you can use this technique when there's a tussle while taking the screen time away, and that also is a huge tantrum for so many parents, like I saw in the WhatsApp group. Okay, so one more technique that I am going to tell you today, apart from this is while they're watching the screen. Another way to train the brain is something which is called the Marshmallow Technique. I'll just answer the questions as I'm getting. What about kids under 2 who don't understand the time limit? They run tantrums soon. I think those who don't understand time limit at that age is even more easier. Okay, so you can train the brain for alarm, like I said, that this is the alarm and you have to take it off. But when they do not give it to you at the time of 2 also, you can, they don't understand time. So that's even easier, that you tell them, okay, 1 minute, and you come up to a time. Suppose they say, okay, 1 minute more. They'll say, no, 2 minutes. That they know this much, that 2 is more than 1. So you can limit it easily with this. If they don't understand time, that is even far better, I think. And you can use this compliance technique and you can limit it. And you can also limit it with by saying that, okay, when this video finishes, or by saying that, okay, another video, you can choose a smaller video to watch again. So by the number of videos or by time limit, you can help the kids understand that.